Okay, here I have another boombox. I'll never get to the end of the pile of these things, I don't think. So this is a Toshiba. Oh, it's got it there. RT-SX85. Assembled by BJ. That sounds a bit dodgy. Don't know much else about it. Obviously somewhere around the 80s. It's a BomBeat SX85. As well as an RT-SX85. Got a nice little 5-band graphic equalizer here. I hope that's not the volume control. No, volume, mixing mic volume. Dual auto reverser, so that's impressive. Oh, you've got the different reverse modes, relay play. I think it's one deck then the other. Or you can have the deck keep circling around, around, around. Or I can play one side, the other side stop. Or I can just play normally. Got an editor, pause, one touch dubbing, or high speed. Mode / beat, so maybe that does the beat cancel for the radio or something. Phono, so maybe it's got a phono input, auxiliary radio tape. Very fiddly little controls on it really, but we've got 2 shortwave bands. Is that our microphone in there? Oh, it says mic. Oh, that's fine tuning. Another one with fine tuning. I didn't realise these fine tuning things were such a big thing on these Japanese ones. Just another little control, I guess, to add to make it look a bit better. It's got one of these horrible dual volume controls. Not a fan of that. And some bit of plasticky stuff sliding around there. Sounds a bit weird. It's catching or something. But quite a reasonable looking box, no silver dust caps either, and a bit of damage. Oh, is that coming off, or is it just? I think it's like it's peeling off, and it's got air under it. I think so. The chrome's peeling off. That's not too good. Detachable speakers. Someone's drilled some nice holes in it. Handle's still intact. Free leaf. And it looks like we've got a good antenna again. I've been lucky with the antennas on most of these. Oh no, we've got a mud dauber or potter wasp that's been at the screw holes. Nothing worse than that. Hopefully there's only one of them. And it looks like no battery cover. That's disappointing. And something, I hope they're not trim pots. I can see something through the hole. I think they are trim pots and they've got all green. There's 2 more of them over there. What on earth has it got there? They look like, I'm pretty sure they're trim pots for something. I wonder if they're the motor speed setting or something. For high and low speed, don't know. That I'm going to say doesn't look very good, and it's not. I think we're missing that battery terminal, so the positive battery terminal is completely gone because that's the negative one. So she's a little rough. And we've got a standard figure 8 set to 240, another one that we can change to 110, I guess. So we'll plug it in and see if anything exciting happens. Speakers aren't locked on very well, I don't think. That one doesn't seem to lock at all. Probably because the little tab bit isn't... Oh, that's actually the release bit's missing off that one. That would probably explain it. Oh yeah, that's the bit. So that one's missing. So the more you look, the more broken it is. It's had something sat on top of it. Looks like it's eaten into it. That's some sort of lacquer or something on there. So that's not too good. We're on radio. And I don't see any power at all. Oh, there's a power on off button. That's different. It's not just the radio tape switch. Bit scratchy. Annoyingly, I can't turn that down at all. Got a power battery light there. I'll tell you what, that's picking up well for the antenna being shoved in there. We've got a bit of humming going on in tape mode. Oh, that's when I touch the volume control, I think. Here, probably because they're not making good connections. So it sounds alright. How do I eject? Does it even work? Oh, that one's coming slowly. These are as slow as the sharp twin cam thing. Is it going to let me... I think we've got a switch right there. That's, we've got take up reel, but no capstans rising up. Same on that one. Is that going the right direction? Yeah. Fast forward seems to work. Rewind. So you've got to press a little switch off to the left side of the middle. Ooh, that doesn't sound happy. Again, no capstans. The head's sitting half rotated. So we've got real action. Ooh, yeah, baby. That's the first squealer we've had. Let's stop now. Well, that wasn't real nice sounding. And the... hang on, this is... they both say auto reverse. Auto tape selector, so it's got switches for that. But I'm only seeing one auto reverse head in there. What am I? Oh no, that is a rotator. Oh, okay, because one's the small head. Of course, one's the record head with erase. I hope that's not broken, but it feels like it could be because I can. It's like rotated on a, I don't know, 45 degree, I guess, off the position it's meant to sit in, and I can rotate it by hand. Sometimes the gears did break. It stops where it should, but I can't get it back to that proper position. But this has got just a larger head with a rotator on it by the look of it, but that's at least aligned. But we're not going to achieve much by not pulling it to bits. Oh, how do I get that unlocked? That should be unlocked, and there it goes. Just a lot of friction, I think. But this one's another one that's been sitting around for a while, but only about a year or so, I think. I seem to remember buying another one with it, but I can't remember what I got with it or where it went. And yeah, I've got this mud here from the wasp, and it's usually full of dead stinking spiders as well. Oh, I hate those things. And I guess we're going to have a problem with those trim pots as well once if we even manage to get that deck going. Is there a screw down in there? There probably is. I might go for a finer screwdriver, see if I can... oh, this is such a pain if that's holding the thing together down there somewhere. I'm not sure it even is, to be honest. Sounds like there's metal down there. Well, let's take all the other screws out. It's about the right spot for one. Another bit of dirt sticking out there, or leaf or something. But this is what a lot of boomboxes ended up looking like, just in terrible condition. I guess they're probably the only ones though that survived because they were used in a workshop or something. Am I getting anything? I don't think I am. Just going to have to keep thumping dirt out of there. Of course they're right down, I think there is a screw head showing down there. Problem is it's going to be some rusted out wreck of a thing possibly. Is it a screw head? That goes down deeper than it feels. I don't know if that is a screw down there. I'll actually try taking the front off here. Oh. Good news, it isn't. Well, it is a screw hole. Maybe someone took it out already. It looks like it. Yeah, it did actually have a. Oh, what's going on here? It's had a piece of screw still in there, don't I? Let's get the antenna off it. And the power comes off. That's what I like to see. And yeah, there's the trim pots I was talking about. Two utterly rotted ones. And two fairly good ones. Yeah, it's got N and H, so maybe normal and high speed. They're going to have to be replaced, I think. At least we've got two good ones. Got 53 written on them, which I don't think is their value, but at least we've got two good ones to check. A lot of nice little Toshiba TA chips, even a TC4081 CMOS chip. Don't know what that one was. Oh, probably the same as this, 7780. Oh, we've got a date. 22nd of June, 86. So a couple more of these MMA motors. Let's hope the rest of that circuit board, ooh, is it in better condition or is that corroded as well? The back of this connector doesn't look the most beautiful. We're probably going to have to remove that anyway. The radio looks like it comes up with dial cord and everything. I think we're just going to have to unscrew. Given all these connectors that are just, or wires that are just connected with no connectors, I think we're just going to have to pull the whole thing out. Graphic equalizer, everything, which is probably a good thing because everything's going to need a clean anyway. But how do we get this screws on an awful angle there? Not an easy one to get to. But yeah, there's a bit of rust on the bottom of that tape deck too, so these batteries might have done a bit of damage. Is that just clipped now? Yeah. If you can get the clips out of there. Come on. Something's still holding it. What on earth? Oh, I know what it is. It's probably a knob or the volume knobs maybe. Yeah, that'll be it. Oh, I don't like these things because you never know exactly how they come off or if they're going to break. They come off, they're just a little plastic shaft just underneath. Yeah, that's got it. Yeah, that's got that board free. Corrosion and stuff everywhere on the bottom of the case. Oh, there's these weird plastic things that were making funny noises. Just a bunch of bare little pots. And you got a few capacitors and stuff, so a pretty crude graphic equalizer, but no doubt it does the job for a boombox. And what on earth holds this together? Ah, okay, so we've got a bent piece of metal. And I can never find those pliers. And there must be another one out there near those pots. And I take it there's probably more than that. It feels like there's more than that. Even those ones aren't really... Oh no, there's just brackets down the other end, so I think if I force these off without being careful not to break the board. Hey, that's that one. It should come out from under those brackets. Now here, I don't think these are the good press to release connectors, are they? No, these are the mongrel ones that... Oh, then again, that one worked. Oh no, they are the press to release ones, that's good. Oh, that's a relief, because they're still a pain to get back in if you bend all the pins on them, of course. Playback to mecha. Oh, I've got to clip this board out from under those brackets. Oh, this is pretty awful. I'm not a fan so far, but generally Toshiba stuff pretty good. Oh, so these wires are still connected. Wow, this thing really isn't going to be much fun, I don't think. We've got a couple of head connections need to come out. Oh, what is this? There's another wire there. It must be the earth. Wow, that's a pretty convoluted sort of design, this thing. And I can't get these plugs out. Oh man, I've got to break something before they come out at this rate. Starting to come, so maybe I can flick it with a screwdriver. Well, I don't know why they have to make them nearly as tight as automotive connectors, because I can't imagine they're going to come out that easy, but it is a portable device. Now we've got another white wire going to a little board with LEDs on it or something. This is just clipped in. And I've got to be careful of this radio dial. Other than doing it like that, I'm not sure if there's a better way. We've got another board here. So this isn't going to be an easy one to test or anything, because you've got to plug everything back in to even try it. So of course you can manually wind the deck through a bit. What is holding? Oh, there's another clip. I'm going blind. Must be another one hiding here somewhere. Where is it? That's those buttons coming up. I think they're the dubbing buttons or whatever they were. Something's still holding this board. There's something under this. Of course, they put a bit of tape on it. Oh, maybe that deck's holding it, is it? My God, what the... Oh, finally got a red screw to indicate something. Oh yeah, that mech presses on that other board. So I've got two bits. They just stick through the base, so what else is holding it? The balls obviously need ejecting, I guess. Oh, we've got some bit of plastic falling out. That's not a good sign. Oh, there's screws underneath the decks. Convenient. Gotta be careful of that radio dial. Don't want the dial string coming off. Not that's the end of the world, because I'm not going to use it anyway probably, but still. And those little switches sticking out and stuff. Very fragile. Relatively. Look, that deck's dropping. Okay, that should get some free decks. Oh no, some grabbing it. Probably should have got rid of that back out of there. So that board starts coming up once we get rid of that. And of course the silly button is going to catch on the little thing that holds the board in. Oh, come on. That's better. Now what are these part of the... Oh, that's the buttons. So they're connectors for the operation buttons for each deck. Okay, that's not split or anything by the look of it, so that might be alright. I think this whole thing needs dismantling, and I was going to check the back of this board. There's slight signs of corrosion, but nothing bad. It's just rid of those pots and the solder joints to them, and not a lot else. Unless there's anything under this tape, but thankfully that's very minimal. But there is green muck all over the place that just wants cleaning off. Put that all bundled back in and put it to one side, I think. If I can find a flat surface that isn't covered in junk. Ooh, we've lost a knob off something. And that I think was on the metal piece that was pressing on that little circuit board. It was on this, not that bit, this bit. Of course it had to be something that's going to fall off, didn't it? The worst thing is I'll forget to put it back in possibly, but at least if I make a bit of a mental note, hopefully I'll remember. So this is pretty filthy and bits of spots of corrosion-y stuff. But otherwise quite a nice little mech. It's actually, is this a two-motor design? It is too. It's got real motors, so this is more of a high-end style deck, but maybe it was just more convenient to make an auto reverse like that. Well, this belt's either about to come off or it's the belt's gone, I think. I can see the end of it, so it's not me flicking it off with a paintbrush or anything. That belt is hopefully not, it's starting to turn to goo, and it's wrapped around the motor, I think. So that would explain why we've actually got reel motion, because normally I would expect the capstan belt to be good if we've got reels, but when you've got a separate reel motor, they can do their own little thing. yeah, we've got a switch for, it looks like, for record. I thought they said these were metal auto detecting, but that's where the record tab goes. Or does, yeah, they actually, this is possibly a clever design. Maybe I didn't need to press that, but it didn't seem to do anything without it. Let me think, because you've got metal, normal tape in here, that presses up, but the metal ones have a hole about there, I think. And how does it detect the tapes in if that doesn't get pressed? Well, that would explain why our Decker's just died mid. Well, I know this isn't the one with the mid head, the other one's got the head halfway turned, but if that belt, which I can see that's coming off as well, if we haven't got capstan motor, we probably haven't got, that one's fallen off, but it's stretchy, but it's not completely goo or anything. Well, look at it all broken like the other one seems to be. I can see it coming across the top here, and it's, yeah, it's still on the pulleys, but I don't think it's going to tension up and work again. So they're obviously had their day from not being, probably just from not being used. And quite a bit of rust, not the best. So we're going to have to take this back plate off. Hopefully it's pretty straightforward, there's not other bits of the mech falling to bits. Does that bit actually go into something, or is it just holding that on? I doubt it's just holding that on. But yeah, they look like pretty solid. No, it is just holding that on. I don't think we need to unscrew that one. But yes, it's rare. I can't remember seeing real motors in the Boombox before. It'd be pretty rare. 30th of May 86 and June 86. So hopefully it's just these end ones, and it looks, should be just a simple swap of a belt, hopefully. I guess I should even lower the camera a bit. Not much good trying to work it out from up there. And one more screw and that should get it, I think. Should be able to flip this motorboard over. We might have to take this other bracket off actually. It looks like we probably do, because we've got to lift over these little bronze bearing things, bushings, whatever you call them, for the capstan. So that's a shorter screw there and one on the end here with a little earth wire on it. Hopefully that doesn't do anything else either. Just comes off nice. Better give that a bit of a clean, get rid of all the dust off it. So yeah, these mechs have, you can see this little half gear here, that's what spins. Oh yeah, we've actually got, oh no, it went back again, whoops. But that spins the other gear here on our head. So the little head, just rather than have like an audio, auto reverse car audio, which has two faces on the head like a double head that's just fixed, these guys actually spin around. One of the crazier ideas in the audio world, but I guess those little bits of ferrite were more expensive than the mechanics to spin the head around. Ferrite and a couple of wires, I still would have thought it'd be much cheaper to do it the other way, but can't be the case, I guess. That's trying to come with it. So those wires are still attached from the motor to the board, and here's our little belt, and yeah, it's sticking to things, and it's just, you know, you could stretch that a mile probably, and it's nearly turned to oil. So I'm lucky with this one, I got onto it, it's starting to turn to oil. In this capstan pulley, I think, is it going to come out? Just, I mean, look how limp it is. It's just had its day, that one. And yeah, give it another couple of years, it'll probably turn to goo and be an absolute nightmare to get out. So it's worth changing these, even if I never use this deck. At least it's not going to have oily belts in it. And of course these things, you can see this gear underneath here moving. I'm not sure which direction do these ones go. These are right. Oh no, that's a left. Oh no, so I'm looking at the other one. That's for the other job. So that would have gone that way. So you can see the head spinning around. and here it comes up. Get that bit of muck out of there. And I think it's just, sometimes if you keep going they'll drop back. It's a weird little spring thing there. Is that just probably just to earth that and get rid of static or other noise, electrical noise producing stuff. So I'll have to give that a good clean. But that's roughly how these decks operate. The capstan, there's usually a, I don't know, some have a solenoid, some don't, but there'll be something here. See now the capstan's in the dead spot on that gear. How do they do it when it's not a capstan? I think it's just when you mechanically, although these are logic controlled as well, so something must press something here to get that. Ah, there is a solenoid. I guess I might as well have a look at this. If I can get that out, these probably need a lube. There is one little washer stay there and a spring on it, so that's why I don't like pulling them to bits if I don't have to. There's the solenoid. This blue thing, you can see the metal case around it, that's covering up the cover, so when we press, when that pulls in, this lever, I thought that lever might be something to do with it. That's made this gear move. So it's got one little dead spot with no teeth on it. Pretty much like other ones I've looked at. And we've got this nice big gear on the capstan, which of course is spinning with that belt from the motor all the time. So that's why I often get these decks with the motors running all the time. Well, it may not be running all the time, but at least with the tape in there pressing on that switch or something. And as soon as this engages, you see the teeth move, they then press into these and engage them, and of course it spins the wheel right the way around until it hits that little dead spot again, and then we need to trigger the solenoid again to get it to engage again. So quite a simple little design and a rather clever little one. I guess I should see if these are reasonably well lubed. Those back ones don't feel too good. It's not the end of the world, but I guess these probably could do with a lube. That's spinning quite freely the front part. Did that bearing stay in place? It hasn't moved anything weird. So good chance to put a couple of little dobs of oil on things. I guess I should even do the front of that one, but again, I prefer not to touch more than I need to on these things, but this one's not too bad to work on. Let's just put a tiny bit of oil on a cotton bud. Well, I could put a bit of oil on the cotton bud, but put the tiny bit, just dab it on there. Dab it on here somewhere. We've got to clean the capstan anyway. Oh no, it shot. How did it shoot from down there up there? Just by touching that little washer, it shot from its position all the way across onto that gear. I obviously didn't get it perfectly centered, but amazing. They always have a habit of doing stuff like that. And there's another little one on there. And the bearing goes that way, doesn't it? Yeah, it feels a bit better. Still not the greatest, that back bearing. I might put a little bit more oil and a bit on that washer. Oh, it doesn't matter at the back here so much as long as it can't get on the belt. Still doesn't feel the freest. Yeah, as soon as I hold that still, I don't think that's meant to rotate in the metalworks. That's not the best. Oh, I'm going to pour a bit of oil right down that one. It may have some grease or something in there that's dried up. Yeah, it's coming good now, I think. Definitely had a bit of friction. Still a little bit. Alright, we'll leave that for a little bit and see if it loosens up at all. Oh, the washer's stayed on this one at least. So a little bit of oil just back from this bit that sticks through. That should get into the bearing a bit. I think that's probably pretty good. You're not going to get massive amount of free spinning out of these things, especially with these other bearings out. Who knows how well they're sitting in there. Okay, so I'll put a little bit of oil on the capstans on these rear bearings because they seem a bit stiff. That one's still a bit stiff. This one's pretty good now. Yeah, it's definitely spinning better than it was. They spin in the front bearings nicely, but as soon as I grab this back one, odd. Here's a bit of oil should free. It's not too bad, but they certainly break it quicker than I would have expected, but maybe that's how this thing's meant to be. That's about all the lubing I need to do, I think. I'll give this motor pulley a clean just to get rid of any remains of that old belt, which I don't think there is much, but there's a little bit of black stuff coming off. Yeah, I've got to try and find another belt around that size. I think that's a bit too big for our eBay belt kit, but we can have a look and see how big's the biggest belt. Obviously this other one's stretched it quite a bit. Oh, that's actually getting up to that size. That might actually be around perfect on a good day. Make sure we don't touch that oil we just put on there. Where does the motor sit exactly? Is the next problem. Oh, that's could be a bit tight even, but if I can at least get that on that motor shaft. Try and get it on the pulley as well. That's it. Oh no, it's not. It's half on. Come on, get on there. That's because this motor's not really in the right spot. Let's, if I can get access to anything, spin it a bit. Yeah, it's probably about the right tension, so I think I just locked it with that one. Got to be better than what was in there. So hopefully we've got another belt still around that length in that kit, but I do have another kit anyway that I can always pinch one out of. And the good thing is there's no second belt or anything because we've got a direct drive motor. And that should be about it for that. These screws are pretty tight. And that went... How the hell did that go? That goes around the corner, I know that much, only like that. And we've got to put an earth wire back. And then we can look at cleaning the other side. What wire was in here? Don't know, that wasn't anything to do with that, was it? Must have been something else. Nothing to do with the deck itself, by the look of it. Where's that hole on? Oh, there. Actually sort of clicks onto it. And we just got a little earth wire. So at least we know where the decks are earthed. Because I think something was making a funny noise. Get rid of that old belt. Got another little bit of weird plastic there. So at least the deck's sitting back, because I fiddle with it, sitting back to where it's meant to go. Heads are actually pretty clean. We definitely want to clean the capstans since I put a bit of oil around there somewhere. Not much should have come through, but you never know. Well, actually we laced up. No, we're not. One pinch roller is higher than the other though. I'll just bring that out of the way so I can clean the full capstan in case of oil. But they're surprisingly clean, so maybe this thing never got any use on the tapes, or very little. There's a little bit on the under the dust on the pinch rollers. There is a slight amount of oxide, but it's rare you don't get it on the capstan shafts themselves. So maybe this has been a very low use deck, I don't know, or someone's cleaned it. Most people never cleaned them. themselves, and they'd only really get cleaned if they came in for repairs of some sort, because we always used to clean them as part of the repair. But most tape decks, you know, went with a bit of dirt and stuff in there, didn't worry them. If the tapes weren't really bad and clogged up the head itself, then most people wouldn't even notice it was an issue, because really just a bit on the capstans and pinch roll there isn't an issue. And does that stuff come off, or wipe it off with a cotton bud or something? A bit of dust there, a bit of dust in there, yeah, dust everywhere really. So I think that deck's fine, and I guess we rinse and repeat with the other side. Ooh, that's right, the belt's hanging out of this one. It's wrapped around something by the look of it, so it'll just be the... oh, that's what it was. It was around the head wire. I thought it was around the head wire, but of course the way it's fallen... now, what does that go? It goes round, there's a bend there. Luckily we've got one left to copy, and then that goes through and sort of under and over by the look of it. Something like that, good enough. So easy to forget. I thought I unwrapped something off it. And it's probably going to be identical. Take this bracket off, take the other bracket off. Yeah, there's bits of belt sticking out here, so it's all over the place. But I guess that's one good thing about a dual tape deck, is once you've done one, you know how to do the other one. But yeah, it's kind of a low-end boombox, a fairly small one. Yeah, it's got quite fancy mechanisms in it, so a bit of a weird one, this one. It kind of doesn't look the highest quality, or it's not, certainly not the coolest sort of one. It's fairly compact and stuff. That's kind of wrapped right. I have to try and turn that pulley. It's not going to work, is it? Oh, what's it got into there? Even when I turn the pulley, it's the belt doesn't move. There it goes. What is tied itself in a knot, I think, and it goes under the pulley by the look of it. So that's not much fun. What is it? It's between. Ah, it's gone between the pulley and the motor. I think I'm gonna have to probably remove that motor, and that's no fun. But the motor won't run well if it's got a piece of rubber jammed between the pulley and the body of the motor, I wouldn't think. Is that washer going to come off? Doesn't look like it. 3 motor screws too, that's a bit different. They really wanted to mount this one solidly. Ah, yeah, it is. This I think I'm going to have to lift the pulley up. Got a bit of hair in there too, just so the pulley comes down just above. Let's hope this is a reasonably solid one. Yeah, that goes up no problem. Yeah, so there's a bit of belt in under there. Very rare that happens. Yeah, it was wrapped once around the shaft too, I think, so chuck that in the rubbish. So what you can do is kind of use a screwdriver or something, because these will tend to suddenly slide. That one's not too bad, but often you press them and you press them and you press them and nothing happens, and suddenly it shoots down the shaft. I think that's about where that was. So I always use the technique of, I should have took more notice of which way this is orientated, I guess. So the middle piece there points to that hole or a bit further around. So it's going to be something like that. Can we make out where? Yeah, you can make out the rubber's sat on that one. And yeah, the one next to it, so that's definitely them. Usually with the 2 hole ones, of course, often the motor only has a couple of holes or something. A couple of obvious ones, but this is a bit different. But at least you can see where the rubber's been squished against it. Anyway, just a double And that's the other advantage of a twin tape deck, is if you forget what you're doing, there's another one to guide you. The mechs aren't always exactly the same. So that's all that belt gone. Let's see what delights we have here. That is well stuck in there, but thankfully it's coming. It came out, yeah. I'm going to pull this out to lube it, but I also want to check because there's a bit of belt was under this, so the little spring stayed in there with this one. That'd be right. Let's try and capture that back on there. Yeah, there's no belt under here, I don't think. We got some not so pretty looking corrosion on there. Rusty, horrible stuff. Don't know what's happened there. More battery juice, I guess. And if we carefully... That does not want to come off. Why? Again, it shows the bearings might be getting a bit tight in these things. Oh yeah, they are. Where's that? Yeah, little washers stayed in there. So definitely wants to lube that one. And no sign of belt. That's the important thing. Is that my oily one? I might start a new oily bit. That cotton bud got it. So again, put a bit just about where you think that front bearing is. I can clean that once it's back in, probably just wash that washer, doesn't fall off or anything. And we'll lube up this back one. Certainly brings them to a halt a bit quicker. Don't know why that is with these, but I might put a bit on the face of it too. And same with this one. Try not to lose that spring. And try not to flick that little washer across the room like the other one decided to do. I was gonna always think of it afterwards, gonna check that can we get this mech into place. Better to check the basic operation now while we've got it to bits. Does it go which way? This one seems to jam. Now I have to get that horrible little washer out of there. Sometimes an oily, yeah, you can pick it up with an oily cotton bud because the oil will stick to it. Let's just get that out of the way before we lose it. So the head's straight up. The mech lifts. Yeah, this doesn't seem too good. Why won't it operate? Yeah, that doesn't seem to... That's your problem, I think. That doesn't seem to rise. Why? Or is that as far as it goes? Well, the head... I'm pretty sure that should slide up more than that. Yeah, we can see the bottom of the hole there. You can see this little slot here doesn't go anywhere near the end of that plastic. Yeah, nothing's rising up, but that could be the gear stopping it. Oh, it's hitting something else here. What's going on? Let's get this other capstan. Ah, damn. Spring and washer fell off, of course. Why they have to put those things in there? Must be a reason, I guess, but just asking for trouble. The less little bits like that, the better. Some manufacturers have them, others don't. Not really sure the point of those. So have we got, is it something to do with this corroded bit is stuck? Oh yeah, that is probably the problem. That bit, is that meant to slide sideways? What is it? Ah, so that's for the pinch roll. Oh look here, we've got a rusty pinch roller bit here. I wonder if that, I think that thing's, yeah, I think that's our problem. It's probably this gear's trying to push. across the other way is, I reckon, the issue. Oh yeah, that is as tight as. Still can't seem to get the deck to rise, but at least that's moving now. Why still won't it go? It's hit that point and just jammed. Well, if it's not that, what the hell is it? Actually, I can see that deck is jammed. Oh yes, it's going up now, so that's a good sign. Yeah, so that pinch, I reckon that pinch roller might have been hindering it or something. So the deck rises, but I still, these motor wires, still can't, oh here we go, now it's working. Well, it still hits a dead spot. I'm getting further around though. Oh, come on, what are you doing? Oh yeah, if I keep pushing on that, it's starting to go. I just don't want to risk breaking anything. God, it's hitting a lot of tension. Is it that lever in the way? It can't be, surely. Oh yeah, it's still trying to push this thing across, I think, and not, it's this lever, white lever is trying to push it, and it's jamming again, I think. Oh, is that at the end by now? Sure, that's, oh no, there's more room to go, I think. Dude, that thing is jammed up. Because that can come here right across. Where's it go to? I can see it hits that point. Can that pinch roller go any further, or? Well, the pinch roller can't unless the head goes down. There it goes, I just got it further across. Let's try and hold the mongrel there. Ain't gonna happen. Yeah, that's freed it. Oh, good thing I checked this, because this deck is not happy. And we've finally got a full rotation out of it. So we're back to the little break in the gear at the capstan. So it's this whole slide here, that's gonna be a pain, I think. Or is it? We're gonna have to remove, I assume that's a little split washer there. Is it though? Is that a, no, is it just, what holds that in then? So I can't see a clip. Is that a washer? Or is that just the end of that? No, it's not moving with the thing, so it's got to be something on there. That's how you prove whether it's a washer or something, is does it move with this? It may move with it, but it's not. If it definitely doesn't move with it, it's a separate piece. Oh wait, this whole white thing is, oh, what is this thing? Don't think I've had these before. It's just some little press-on piece. So if we lift that up, and of course the spring shot off, I wanted it to hang on there. It's a double-ended spring with two different size holes, of course. I think the small one went on there. At least we do have another mech if we get desperate. What was it on, that piece? I hope the big end went there. Oh, we're going to have to take the whole gear out. We've got a second piece here. That was the bit that was holding, stopping the thing from going around, because this is the piece that tries to move the spring again. Yeah, the big end went on the little plastic bit. Surely I can lube that from above, but so I'm going to have to move it even further to get it out of the deck. It's got the little piece, that must do the heads as well, does it? That head feels stiff. Or something there's not. Don't tell me the head doesn't rotate as well. Ah, man. Oh, I can move it, but yeah, I don't think that's real free. So that might be another issue. God, blimey. The fun we have. Can I get that head even further so I can get this piece out? It doesn't look so. It looks like you might have to remove the head as well, and this gear probably, which means this piece might have to come out. This is going to be a full tape deck disassembly if I'm not careful, which I might be able to lift that gear out. The question is, what else does it mesh with that I need to... So it's just a piece presses on there. It might be alright. Oh no, there's a little... I'm probably going to have to risk. I hate these little metal things because they tend to press on and then you bend them getting them off and they don't want to press fit again. Oh, well, that one came off alright. The worst thing is it's getting late and I don't want to abandon this in pieces because I'll never work out how to get it back together potentially. That is not just going to lift out like I hoped. Oh yes it is. Well, it's going to lift up. It may not come out, but at least it's up out of the way. Then we've got a spring on this piece as well onto a little mount. Let's remove that before we lift it up and it shoots across the room, but I've got to slide it along further to get to these two little holes so I can lift off these little plastic bits that it slides on. Oh, I wonder if this thing goes back together, I guess. Now, does this head have an issue? It turns, but it does turn. It feels a bit stiff still though. I don't think it should be that hard to turn. Usually these things will just rotate back easily on their own if you let go of them. Oh yeah, okay, so we've got another spring. That's going to have to go. Sometimes I use side cutters on them, it's the easiest way, but that works. So that's the head spring. I'll leave that sticking up. This little screw is going to be corroded, I think. I mean, I can see it's a bit of corrosion, but the whole thing's going to be very hard to get out. If I can get rid of this little gear out of the way, then I can remove that other piece on the other side. Anyway, I don't need to actually remove the head. Oh, that is only just... It's as tight as I'm going to lose my... chew out the screw if I'm not careful. Lose the grip with the screwdriver, but that's got it. And the magnetism lifted it, thankfully. Yeah, that screw is pretty bad, and yeah, this brass bit or whatever's in there is not the best. That needs a lube. I'm sure the head will be free as now, yeah. So this is the kind of crazy damage that leaky batteries do. It can get into anything and everything. Well, I assume that was still the batteries. Given there's other corrosion in there, it'd have to be. I think this still doesn't want to go any further along. Don't know what's stopping it. Now there is no part of this, or maybe that could be over a pin or something, but I don't think so. It will not. What's impeding it? In theory it should, or is it's not hitting the end there, it should just make it that last little bit. Oh, the pinch roller. I wonder if that's in the way. I'm guessing it is. So how does that come out? Is there, it should be a clip here somewhere. Or is it this top bit? This has got another weird... This deck's got some weird little pieces holding it together. Ooh, I don't like the feel of that. I don't want to break it, whatever it is. Do I keep lifting? I think it's rising. Yeah, it rose. Weird little black piece. Let's get that out of the way. Still doesn't want to come out. Because I want the whole... Oh, maybe... Does this come out in pieces? What are you doing? Let's get that spring off. Okay, there's the pinch roller bit. Ah, this is... you're kidding me. So I've got to go all the way back to get this in a particular position so that these little holes match these little pieces. And I've got to lift the deck. Wonderful. So imagine if that was all jammed up. Okay, so we've got that out because it's in the right position. I don't know if this other pinch roller is going to impede this plate, but it may well do. And yeah, by the feel of it, it probably will. But I'm not as far across as I was before. So I get something out of the way, and now I'm worse off. Oh, this thing's in the way. Oh, is that because the deck's up or something? What is that metal piece? Yeah, move. What the... Well, that wasn't an issue before. Oh, so that it must move. That was not there before. Yeah, now the deck is somewhat up. Why won't it come back down? got to be something to do with that, hasn't it? Ah, you've got to be kidding me. So now I can't get the deck back into stop mode. Why? What am I missing? Do I need to, here was something latched, something like there, that's it. Got to slide that lever across. Don't know what that does, but it obviously latched it somehow. Makes sense that it would latch in position. Now we can get back to at least where I was before. Because that, yeah, lever's not in the way. So I'd say the other pinch roller's in the way. And then we're going to have to slide everything back to probably get this one apart. Another black piece. And I guess we're going to have to repeat it. Take that bit out, unless you know what position to get this bit in. Which again, we have to lift the heads up. This needs a clean anyway, there's heaps of rust on it. So this deck was almost not really worth the bother. So that wants a good clean and lube. Now I'm going to have to flick that thing again, I guess. Drop the deck down, and finally this should come out. Yay! And the solenoid's fallen out. Oh my god, that wasn't a bit of effort. And yeah, corrosion and yeah, it's a great big thick lump of rust on there. That was rubbing on this little plastic slot. I think something was rubbing on that slot or something similar. And that's, as I pushed it further, it was, they probably need a little bit of grease on those slots again. But for the moment, let's just get all the muck out of here. Because whatever grease is in there isn't going to be much good at the moment. Okay, beat the camera before it shuts off on me. Because it always does it, and you don't notice. Why Canon can't make their cameras make a beep or something when they go off? Unless it's a feature I'm unaware of, but just beep at me or something. Tell me to stop recording, for God's sake. And yeah, this is going to need any bits that have grease on them re-greasing. There's not a lot on here, I don't think, but it's no wonder there's some friction in the system. This whole bit of metal's all corroded. Just have to like scrape these bits off, should be enough to just get rid of the rusty bits. Most of it probably doesn't matter, but these slidey bits here do matter because they run on things. And just in case any of it's hindering any of it's, this piece was the bit. There's a great big, yeah, there it goes on my finger there. Lump of rust. Try not to drop any of this into the mechanism anyway, but there's quite a layer there. So it's the usual thing where rust builds up, it actually adds oxygen as it produces an oxide, like makes ferric oxide, so you're actually gaining atoms. And that's what all concrete cancer and stuff is. It breaks the concrete because it's actually adding matter. As it rusts, it actually adds matter to it. So you get all these little gas molecules adding up, and eventually they're so powerful that they can break concrete and stuff. But that's the same thing that's happened here. We've just actually gained a bit of thickness. Oh, that's oil. Doesn't matter, actually, could do with some lube on it, but that's basically what our problem was. This little lever has gotten thicker. Now, where do we want grease? Just put small amounts in here, but those two little slots where these, you could basically put it on these metal bits, I guess, directly, as well as the slots, especially that rusty one. Hopefully that'll stop it rusting again. Oh, I've got the wrong side. I just lubricated the bit where the spring goes. We don't want that lube on there. Not that it'll matter much, but yeah, this lever we want. That sticks through the front of the mech, and that's the bit that pushes the pinch rollers. And the two posts that stand up want a little bit They're the bits that go, yeah, basically up and down these slots. They're the bits that held this piece in until I could slide it far enough to one side. The slots themselves want some grease, and a bit on the top of them. Sticking up won't hurt because the face slides on there. Beautiful. Get rid of that grease off my screwdriver. Chuck it away. And now I can put it all back together again, hopefully. Gotta lift that gear up. And I've got to remember where all these springs went. So that slots in. That should now slide nicely. That's pretty good. Oh, get back in there. Don't think there's any sort of section. Should go right to the end of the slot now. Yeah, that's nice and smooth. Not sure how I go about getting this gear back in the right spot. Oh, I've got a pink marker underneath and a pink dot there. Don't know if that means anything, but guess what? It doesn't want to go back in because something's... Okay, we've got a cam bit underneath. And it's this white lever is the issue. In theory, if I push that up... Oh, can I push that up? We might just have to rotate this until it falls down. Because I assume... Unless I can actually get it out. That should lift up. Ah, so you got to lift the mech up. Okay, so that's sprung out at some point. Either way, I'm going to have to push it up because there's no way any of this gear is going in with that in the way. I probably should lubricate that, but it's got a bit of grease on it, so thanks, alright. So that's roughly where we want it. We should be able to rotate just about everything now. Yeah, that little piece catches this piece. That probably wouldn't hurt to put a little bit of grease in there. And that's down in a slot there. So what was the next step? Pinch rollers were the next part we took off. Now, one of those needed cleaning. This horrible rusty thing almost needed some... it might come off alright. Need something abrasive on there, I think, like some fine sandpaper. Maybe let's just give it a clean. I don't think it's really that bad. It's mostly just dirt on the surface, I think. Yeah, see, even the rust just comes off mostly. But I will scratch that way a bit. There's nothing really there. There's no friction. It's just a discoloration, I think, thankfully. Now, how did they go again? What was the bit that hit on that? That thing, I think. Oh, well, there's only one way, but yeah, that was how it went. I might even just put a little bit of grease on that. Don't think I can hurt it. Just where it slides around inside that hole and on the faces there. It looks like it had some grease there originally. Now what have we got the heads in the wrong spot? Yeah, they got to be up a bit for that to fit in its little... That's right, I had to lift the heads, didn't I, to get the pinch rollers out. And this has to sit with a spring above that. And was there something else? Something else must mesh here somewhere, I don't know. I've got it should go further down the shaft, I think. Oh no, it's hit something. Is that it? Oh yeah, because this piece here, that seems to have fallen. I don't think it's come out the other side. I bet it has a little mongrel. Yeah, it's trying to escape. So now that I want it in there, it's trying to get out. Yeah, that's what pushes the pinch roller either way. I think that's it, and we just put the little black plastic bit back on. I think I better fix that head while I think of it too. Just that push in, it just, that's it I think. We have got to clean under that screw and this little bit where the screw sits, and then we'll lube that up. It's just a bit tarnished I think, but with everything being a bit out, just scrape that a little bit. Scrape that out just in case there's anything in there. I think it's pretty good. So that's, oh, now how do I line it to the head? This could be fun. Should have took more notice of which way the head is, because if this mech ends up, I could potentially end up with the head backwards. Well, I think that's a, yeah, I could. Can I end up with the head 360 degrees out? I can, so I'm going to put it back where it was and just hope for the best. It's not a big deal, because I only got to change this piece, I think, if I get it wrong. Just take this out again. Put plenty of lube on that. Take this out again and flip the head around the other direction. I can live with that. It'll just be trying to play the opposite side of the tape. Could be interesting. It'll probably a good way to make a cassette player tape play the tape backwards, I guess. If you've got one of this style, you just do that. Now the next question is getting, or next problem is getting this in place. Now I took the spring off here too, I think. That's got to go into that hole. Yeah, this is really iffy as to where, oh wait up, that goes, I got that the right way around, I think, yeah, it must be. Doesn't really hold the head that tight, or does it? Oh yeah, maybe it does it. Yeah, I'm not, oh, because there's a spring meant to be on it. Oh yeah, so the spring pulls it, so the head should hit its end spot, the spring should pull that in tight. I think that's about where I put it in. So this might be a little bit more complicated than it looks. What did I do with that screw? Oh thank God. It's so small you can barely see it. I thought I'd lost it for a minute. Oh, is that over the hole? I think it moved. Oh, it's going in. Yeah, I think the spring kind of pulls it, is what pulls it into final end position. Let's just make sure it rotates, which it does. It still seems a little tight to me, but where's the head gone? Come here. No, that's not too bad. Yeah, no, that's fine, I think. Probably just needs a bit of wearing in a bit. Oh wait, where was the spring? The spring, I thought it pulled from there to, oh God, this is not looking so good. That doesn't seem right. Because that's moving. Is this damn piece of metal is lifting again, isn't it? You son of a... This is the sort of stuff I don't need. Let's turn it back to its other position. Yeah, this bloody plate now is never going to go back in and stay in now, because it's decided it likes its freedom. Get out of the way, head. Now the head's in the way of even getting this thing back. Ah, you've got to be joking me. Here we go. Well, that might actually be good. Now that'll stop it sliding along and coming off with a bit of luck. So it's typical, you have to move the mech around and then everything falls apart again because of gravity, and these wires are going to end up breaking off this motor if I keep swinging this around so many times. So that's in. That should be right, but I can't remember where the spring went. It was this one, I think. Was it the one I said was sticking up in the air? Oh man. Yeah, that was it, I think. big bit on, yeah, that was the one. So big end goes on the head, small end on the thingo there. Don't know if it matters if it goes upside down or anything. Might need some cutters. Even they're too big for this one. This is a tiny little... Yeah, got it on though. It's still a little loose. It shouldn't be, I don't think. Although the mech's in place. Yeah, I don't think that's right. Hard to know though, isn't it? I'm sure they should pull tight. But I don't know in this position. Yeah, that pulls it that way. So that spring still doesn't, I mean maybe that's because the screw's still tight. It's not really in a good position to pull it back, is it? Yeah, that one spins back. If you try and flick it back, it should pull right back. That's what I would have expected. Oh, it's doing it. What was I getting playing before then? No, that's right, that's all good. Or was that because I've loosened that screw off a tad? I think we'll leave that screw there, I think it was just too tight. Oh, the bloody wires come off. I knew this would freaking happen. Okay. Next bit back is this one. I might put a bit of grease on that. Might put a bit of grease on that. Just around that hole at least, and underneath it. Because it won't hurt. Now we have to get the mech in a position where this can go back on, which means that has to go a bit further that way, is that right? Ugh, dude. That's getting to the position where that thing comes off again, which is what I do not want. Ah, it's come off again, I think. Now the head's in the way. So I probably should have put the pinch rollers in first, I guess. I just thought I'd get that head back on, and that was probably where I went wrong. Because it doesn't want to let this piece back in now. That's got it. I think. Still doesn't seem quite right. Why won't you move? Is this gear holding it now? Oh man. Is that piece not on? It's just decided it won't move. Is it because of one of these pinch rollers? Oh, because that... Oh, is that on the wrong side of the... Oh, don't tell me I put the pin... Oh, I think I put the pinch roller on the wrong way. Did I? I probably did, actually. I think that's meant to slot up the other way. Oh, I've got to lift the mech. Do we? Not yet. Oh, this is awful. All the wires are going to suffer metal fatigue by the time I work this. And then... But then the crazy thing is this has to go up. That to go in, and now we've got that in the slot where it should be. Oh man, that is a lot of juggling of things. And the problem is, by the time you fiddle around with all the lubing and stuff, you've completely forgotten the order you did things in. Especially this time of night. I should definitely not be doing this late in the day. Okay, now we're talking. I think, oh, now the head's out of whack. And I'm not sure it should be. And the head's completely no man's land, so that's back to that end. If I keep pushing that, we should... Now there's something else stopping it. What's stopping it? Oh, it's probably, is this in the wrong... Ah, it's just too annoying, this thing. Yeah, that's... Okay, yeah, now I think... Am I back on the other side? Oh, I've completely lost the plot. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's all good. And if we slot that way, yeah, I think that's it. The head returns to where it should. And that's just the start, because we've got to get all the back together. So this is a bit of a... And of course the battery on the camera is going to be flat by the time I even get close. Oh yeah, that's rotating. Which one was it? Oh, there's two dead spots on this gear. Anyway, at least the head rises, the head falls. I don't know if that little... There's a pink dot under there for some reason, a pink dot there. Not sure if that's where it's meant to align to, but... now I've got to actually put this piece back on. I think that had that washer. And here's, you can use some pliers on one of these to... what the hell's stuck to that? A bit of belt. Ooh, that did go on, didn't I? No, I thought it flicked off somewhere. And I'm almost going to have to look at the other one, I think, to even work out where these bits went. I can't even see a thing on that one. Should have left the other one in pieces, I guess. This went... oh, is it down there? That doesn't look right. Well, either went in one or two positions. One of the levers went there, and I think that's right, going by where the spring is on that one. I think that one must have went there. What does it do? That's the capstan there. That's in the way of the capstan if it's there, so I don't think that is right. I don't have a place it can go. Oh yeah, maybe this is it. Yeah, that was that down in there? That's the one with the little round gold bit that swung up and down. Okay, so I managed to get the two levers back in place. You've got the longer one on this side. You can actually tell because it has to sit down lower. There's a little pin's got to go into this gear, and also it's got the little piece for the solenoid. Basically slots in there. And now we've moved it to a different mode, so the solenoid doesn't want to move, but that's the stop position, and pressing the solenoid moves the gear back into contact with the capstan. And this other little lever I'll put back on, and also there's the spring here. So it's got that all assembled, so I should be right to put the capstans back in. Try not to lose any bits off them. And I think we've got a broken wire here. But other than that, we should be able to get this thing pretty well going again. And of course I've got to put a new belt on this, haven't I, before I put the motor back in. Did I clean those pulleys? I can't even remember now. Since it was yesterday I last worked on this. So I'll give them a clean anyway. I probably didn't get that far. I think I was just busy pulling everything to bits. No, they're dirty. But yeah, quite a job in the end. But hopefully I've got a working mech now. But oh, the other thing I thought of is I should be able to check if that head is pointing the right way, because I wasn't 100% sure, just by looking at which pinch roller's in place. So the other thing I wouldn't mind doing is, now I've got this in, can I can just flick press the lever there, can't I? That's the equivalent of doing the solenoid. And yeah, I think we're the right way around with the head, because the head should have those guides on the side of the pinch roller. Oh, something's dropped out. Let's try again. It goes up, and then I guess if I keep winding it... Oh no, actually no, that's right I think. Or is that... No, it is loose. Shouldn't that stop in the loaded position? And I don't actually know how we change directions on these decks. So that's back down. And then it goes back up, although it's, oh yeah, we just changed direction. Yeah, it does click back off a bit, but the head's turned over. Yeah, it comes back to the right spot, so I'd say that's working. Could be wrong, could be proven wrong yet, but... And then, oh, we've got 2 wires off. Oh dear, just, oh, that one's about to fall off the board, and that is the problem when you got to work on these things. I guess I probably should have unsoldered the whole lot, because now I'm probably going to have to, potentially that white one's about to go, I think. Probably going to have to fix them all anyway. How did this motor go? Something like that. So they should sort of go under there. That's it. So I better find another belt, and then I better rewire this motor. So we've got yellow, yellow. Are they? I can look at the other deck, thankfully. I don't know if they're picky, the yellow ones, which way they go, but I'll soon find out, I guess. Now, what did I do with the old belt? Oh, there wasn't an old belt out of this one, was there? It was... Can I find the one I threw in the rubbish? I think it'd have been this one on the top, hopefully. It would have gone round there, yeah, that'd be the one. That's not far off. I'll try putting it on the motor, stretch it. It's just going to come off, isn't it? Sometimes you don't get them to stay on. You just can't get the motor quite where you want it. You just can't get it low enough is the problem, I think. But it's worth trying. Come on, get on there. Now, just as you get there, it falls off. Well, where's the fun in that? Okay, we'll go around that pulley, and I can sort of flick it up onto the motor like that. Just hold it in position. Let's get a couple of screws in. Or even, that'd be right. Even one screw will probably do. Might chuck a second one in there. And hope that I can get everything in place. Because I'm not even sure where the belt is. Oh, it's actually half on the pulley, so that's a bonus. If I can just spin that round a bit, it should be on. Yep. I think that's about right. Not too tight, not too loose. Now, what did that do? It came up and round like that, I think. But no guarantee this deck's even going to work, but fingers crossed we got it all back together right. So there's a good chance it will. Assuming nothing else is seized up in there, and of course that wire's gone underneath, that'll be right. It's probably about to fall off anyway. Something had to go under. Come on. Yeah, I forget how these dual deck motors are hooked up now. They do still have the normal plus and minus whatever voltage they are. These are 12 volts by the look of it. Which I think is probably that white and red. They're probably in order anyway of, so that yellow wire just fell off. That's how close it was. It's probably the next yellow one in order here goes to the next one. That's about to come off. Good old metal fatigue there. So I wasn't expecting to quite do that much work, so I should have thought to actually unsolder the motor would have been the smarter move, I guess. But once you get into these things, you often get focused on what you're doing rather than what you should be doing. Let's see on the other one. The yellow, yeah, that's in the same order. So the yellow wire, first yellow wire just goes in order after the red. That's what I would have thought they'd do, something like that. Can I get in there? I might have to remove the old bits of wire off this end. Didn't wire on the other end. Now, does that go over this thing? It does, so I shouldn't have put that in place yet. Gotta get the bracket on first. That goes there. Like that. Certainly eats through a bit of time doing these things. And it doesn't help when you come back the next day and do it in the wrong order. So that just, I think, went around there kind of thing. And that's where the circuit board sits on that, under and over, and wrap that round or something. Now these are all going to be bent, making them hard to plug back in. Almost inevitable, and I forgot to put the earth wire on, didn't I? I remembered it on the other one, but not this one. But as long as we get there, thankfully only a short screw. Okay, I don't think I even gave this thing a clean yet. Oh, I've got to put those good belts away. Bit of muck on the heads. Again, the capstans are almost perfect, but in case I've got oil on them, they definitely won't going over, regardless of anything else. And I shouldn't really get another cotton bud after clean them, but I'll give the pinch rollers a clean with that one. Even just to get any oil or my fingerprints or grease or anything we got on there, let alone dust that's on there, and even a bit of the original oxide. But they're pretty clean. Almost look like they've been using metal tapes or something, because it's not the normal rusty coloured oxide. Looks a bit greyer, which is normally metal tapes, but that could just be coincidence or whatever, just the age of it or something. But at least it's not the big thick brown coating. Some of them get off the old tapes, especially the 70s tapes, and that used to go pretty bad pretty quick and start shedding everything. Oh, I can see one more bit of corrosion I haven't fixed in there, and that's on this little spring here. I don't think it's actually going to matter, but there is some green stuff on the plastic underneath this. Just be nice to clean it off, and a little rust patch on that bit of metal. Don't think that's going to affect anything, but might as well just clean off what I can to make it look a bit better, if nothing else. So I think they're basically goers. Oh, I haven't even cleaned out this. I forgot how filthy this back bit of case is. And I've got that great big mess somewhere here of the front, which I think is where everything went on, wasn't it? I think I've got to put the decks back on here and plug them back in. And this one's taken out. That's got all green muck down in there, and yuck. So I might take these outside and give them a clean, and I'll come back. Okay, of course I've missed a bit on the wiring here, haven't I? I'll have to wipe that off. But got rid of the worst of it. Now I've got to remember which deck goes where is my next issue. Because they both say auto reverse. Oh, great. Auto tape selector, that's the record deck, so that helps. The one without an erase head must be the other one. Deck one or whatever it is. Be nice if it actually goes back in. Where's that wire meant to go? Under there. We'll get those bits to slot in there somewhere. Doesn't want to go in, of course. Is that wire in the way? Probably. This other wire is not in the best spot. God, seriously? What am I supposed to do with this stupid earth wire? Problem is there's a screw mount there. I guess we pull it in that way somewhere. Ah, there we go. You just got to push it fairly tight. And that has a red screw, I think. Feels about right. Got the wires up there. other deck. And don't forget to plug the heads and stuff back in, it's going to be out the fun bit. I think those wires we just sort of push them so they go above the bit mat. See, of course I want to go right under it in that exact spot, of course. Get them over the bit where the screw goes through, I think. They certainly made these things fairly tight and crammed full of stuff. I think that was all that held them in. I mean, it makes sense, they don't really need more than that. Now, there was a board that had a bit of corrosion on it, I think. Oh yeah, we've got those pots, so I don't really want to put this all back together, do I? Until I've changed them. I definitely don't want to put it back together. The other thing I'm going to do is clean those wires off. Because there's like green corrosion-y stuff all stuck to them, like a powder. And we're missing a battery spring, so that might have to wait until I can find another one in something and pinch it out of another old Boombox or something. Because I don't know what else I could really get one out of, not a big one like for a D-cell battery. It's not like you can pinch it out of a remote control or something. I mean, they're easy enough to buy these days for a couple of dollars. And I just got to be careful here too I don't wobble these connectors around too much or we'll start breaking wiring on them as well. So how did this... That's the radius, all this stuff flips right back over, I think. And that was, oh yeah, the volume. I've got to see if I can do something with these silly slider things. They at least need to clean. These big long strips of plastic, but one of them was crunching up on something. You can see it's bent. So I guess I better find out what these potentiometers are. Zoomed in, and I might have to go back to zooming out again, I think. Come on, connect 3K and 1.5K. Well, that doesn't sound very likely. I thought they both had the same markings on them as well. Well, the other ones may still be intact, but I can't imagine they're particularly good. The resistance part might still be okay. And they're measuring a bit different. They're definitely the corroded ones, aren't they? Yep. The next question is, do I even have one second-hand one or something that will fit on the board in the same holes? I don't think we're even going to get this heat into this stuff because it's corroded until we put a bit of... I'll go over a couple of these other nearby joints. They're definitely got a layer of some sort of oxide-y stuff on them. Come on. What is that? Some little resistor? I think it's okay though. Main point with these trim pots, you can almost remove the basic thing by hand anyway without desoldering anything. Simply put your finger on it and pull that central pin up. It's not like it matters if I break these ones or anything. It'd be better if I don't so I can measure them. Just sort of wobble them off easy enough. That's one rusty little pot. See all the rust on the back of it there. I think this one they bent the pins on a bit, so no, it still comes off easy enough. So I better put these in the position where they were. So that says T53B or something, and that says the same thing. So I wonder if the ratings were put on them somewhere else. That's odd, because normally the Japanese are pretty good at labeling their trim pots. I guess there's no reason why they wouldn't be. I mean, it shouldn't be the same value. course that's right in the way. That's better, 5k, that makes more sense. So maybe we've got something across it, so maybe, oh, 5.3, maybe that's 5 and then 3 for 1,000, 3 zeros. Yeah, they're both 5k pots by the look of it. I mean, they probably do work, but you're not going to be able to, I wouldn't trust the wiper on them too much. So that's what the 5.3 is. That makes perfect sense in hindsight. I don't think I've got any little white ones like that, but I've got some of these other little ones. Problem is they probably won't fit because these are so flat. That's going to be the big issue here. That is going to be a real pain, I think. Now I've got one, it's got a blue bit on it, so that would have been a RGB pot out of some TV. Well, maybe not, some did use blue I think, but damn, I was just in JCar too. I should have, well actually I hadn't pulled this to bits then, so I can't blame myself for not getting a couple. What else have I got in here? The other option is just put them back in there for now and worry about it later if I ever worry about it. Or I could maybe swap them from channel to channel if they don't work. Because we've got the main thing intact. I could try some contact cleaner on them I guess, but these are definitely not in a good way. Let's see if we've got anything to the wiper, or is it completely rotted off? Now it's measuring 2.5 and that's right on the middle. And this one's not far off the middle. And it's 1.8, so they might be alright. I'll stuff it on, I'm just going to give them some contact cleaner and hope they do the job for now, I think. Even though they're going to be a bit green and horrible, although I can probably wipe some of that off, and maybe I really shouldn't touch them much because that's tempting fate too much. And rotating them is probably a bad idea, but it's not going to rotate, so they're stuck in place. That's what the rust has probably done. Problem is I don't know which one came out of which hole now, so I've messed up there. We'll probably have a slight speed out, but it could be on the, well, probably be on both of them if I put them in wrong, I guess. It's a 50% chance of getting them back the same way. Yeah, they're still measuring, so I think that's all I can do for now. Let's have a look. Get rid of the contact cleaner. And I'm going to unsolder those holes now so I can get them back in. Well, that didn't work. It's easier just to move it to one side, I think. Beautiful. The original, one of them had a bent pin, that was the inner one I think, so I think I do know which way they went in. Yeah, that was the one. Pretty certain. Where's the hole? Like it doesn't exist. Trying to work on this in this mess is not much fun. Probably should have just left them as they were, I guess. In you go. That resistor is a bit iffy. I probably should check its value. I thought it was okay, but looking at it from this angle, it does have a bit of corrosion on one end. Every other part is looking pretty good. Link is a little lacking in shine, but it's done pretty well considering, especially when it's got one of these boards that's plated through holes, double-sided. I've got a national one here somewhere. Actually, that's another boombox I can at least tidy up, I guess, because I think I've just about given up on it. Because it's got quite a complicated circuit, though. Admittedly, I could only get a poor quality circuit from the radio museum for it. And I've now joined up properly with them, so I might be able to get a good quality one, but it's one of the most complicated audio paths I've ever seen in something, for the amount of different things it goes through. But it is a lovely national box. but it's had battery juice everywhere in it. Well, look at it, like it's like someone laid on its front or upside down or whatever it took to get it all over the board, but it went all over everything. And there's plated through holes that are dodgy and all sorts of stuff, and it just, the circuit feeds back into itself and goes around in loops almost. But that could be an interesting one to do one day, but it's going to take some serious patience. It's still sitting under the bench there, or under the shelf there, where I last put it. And there's always one or two of those jobs on the bench that you just never put back together and just left there, hoping to get back onto it one day, and you never have. And I think every electronic workshop, when it gets shut down, that's all the stuff that goes in the dumpster, is all those sort of jobs. There's always a pile of them under the benches and stuff. The things that no one ever got around to finishing. Usually the customer didn't want to spend the money because it was a major job, and the technician's like, I'll get on that one day and see if I can get it going for myself or something, but never does. I did have a boombox like that years ago. It was a Sony, one of the black Sony ones. It was an AM stereo one, which is about the only interesting thing. With the customer had dropped it and the handle had somehow, I don't know if it actually broke the case or what, but the handle had smashed the board like pretty badly because it landed upside down on the handle. And I ended up buying it off them for $20 or something because it really wasn't an economical job to repair all the cracks in the circuit boards. And I did get it all going except I think for one channel in the FM radio or something. And it was one of those jobs that I don't think I had a circuit for it. I was going to borrow the manual, I think, and I don't know what happened with it in the end, but it sat around for years and years and years, and I think I finally threw it out one day. I got sick of it, but just didn't really have time to get back on and finish it, or motivation, or any real market for the thing at the time, I don't think. I don't think I really needed it, but it was kind of a cool box just because it would have been probably one of the only models to come out with AM stereo on it. Which was, you know, not that exciting, but it was just an interesting thing back in the day. And it did sound a lot better than normal AM, that's for sure, which is pretty horrible. That should go like that, I think. Now, where did the heads wirings go? That's probably onto this audio board, is it, or does it go... Well, the wires are loose down there somewhere, so I hope that's... Oh, did they come out? They were heading upwards, weren't they? I better find out where the head wires go before I commit to that up there by the look of it. Is this the wrong... This is the wrong... Oh, so this... What on earth we got here? So this board should have gone down the other way. This is the problem with pulling these things to bits. Is that right? That can't be right. That's why those wires have got weird kinks in them. It's actually somehow twisted right around. We don't want no weird kinks around here, so I'll get that the right way around. That goes like that. Still don't know, I reckon these wires go up under here. So before I plug those connectors in, I better get them somewhere in the vicinity of where they go. But then where's the plugs gone now? I saw a couple of white plugs. Now I've inverted the board. Oh god, right down there. Brilliant. So that maybe, oh maybe they come through here somewhere. Must be. And we've got the long ones over that side and the short ones over this side. So I hope I did get those decks back in where they belong, because the plugs are the opposite way around. But these wires are right. So we've got a three-way here. So they're definitely right. They've just they've actually swapped the positions. I wonder if I should start trying to get them back in, just make sure they do go in. That worried me for a minute, because that must be the erase headed deck, because it's got more connection. The other one's only got three wires because it's just a stereo head. But they actually swap over, cross over each other to plug in. Unless there's another three-way plug I'm missing. No. for whatever reason Toshiba put them in those positions. I should have probably cleaned a few of these knobs and switches. It's the other thing I really must do. It's the worst thing about having to clean these things up is you've got to keep stopping what you're doing to clean everything as you put it back together. So that red switch has got stuff all over it. Might as well do the socket. Oh no! Comes straight off in your hand, of course. You'd think they would have attached it. I did find, didn't I have a knob here? There is a silver knob out of this thing sitting on the bench there. Oh, the other thing I forgot was that little plastic bit to go on the one of the decks. What did it even do? I've forgotten, but anyway, I'll look in a second. So you're going to stop and fiddle around with all this. Because most of these will be a complete pain to clean once they're in. You'll never get all the dirt off them. That one I probably could, but not around the little skirt. So there's nothing missing there that I can see. Better clean the dust off that dial too, I guess. Not sure how much of it you can see, but get that switch thing back where it belongs. Which would be up and down, I assume. Yeah, well, they go up and down, so of course it's up and down. A little hider of switch holes and switch shafts and stuff. Definitely no switches I'm missing. Okay, so I've got a little silver knob here. Oh, it's got a direction thing or something. And there was that little piece. Oh, we've got another knob here. What was? Oh, that was one of the volumes. That's right. We took them off first. That went on the metal bracket somewhere on one of these decks. What was the metal bracket that I had to remove something? It pressed on something. I've completely forgotten now. I remember there was a metal. Ah, no, it's not those bits. Wasn't there a metal tab sticking out somewhere that pressed on something that I had to remove the tab to get something else out of the way, is my memory of it. Okay, we'll worry about that later when I remember what it is. It'll become clear once I've screwed everything back together, no doubt. What is in the way here? Is there some stupid mounting post or something sticking up? I bet there is. Yeah, there is. Good job, Toshiba. So I've got to try and get it under that and over, so you just got to tilt it up enough by the look of it. Much further than you'd think. And then we've got to put it down and twist those. I guess we've got to find my pliers. There they are. Twist those middle bits. Where is it? Oh, there, it hasn't gone through, of course. There we go. And that's how you break these trim pots if you're not careful. Okay. Now we're going to try and get these connectors back. Every pin's bent in somewhere or other. Yeah, not the greatest idea, those things, because they always end up getting messed up if you do any amount of work at all. Nice at the factory, no doubt, but absolutely useless for everyone else. You almost need to put some tape over them or something, I guess, to stop that happening. But again, not something you always think about. Oh, uh-oh. Oh, that goes over here. Oh, that should have gone under those, of course. Oh, it doesn't matter because this board's not in place, is it? Although we put the head wires in, I guess it's easier to pull this board up, hopefully, and just disconnect the head wires. Or is this even going to come up now? Oh no, it won't come out because it's got short wires there. So it looks like I have to take these out again. Should have known there'd be something like that. And undo this board again. After all that fiddling around to get it in. At least I'm getting the knack of it now. I'll be an expert on this thing by the time I finish it, and I'll never see one again. Even then, how do I get we've got connectors here. So how did that manage to flip under there? Something like that, I guess. One of those head wires are out. I guess I really need to clean all that as well. And I need to fix those silly slider things on the volumes. Ah, come on. These wires are as stiff as, which doesn't help. Awful wire. Not like your nice flexible ribbon cable, these are like the solid ones. Oh, they got steel wires in them just about. Okay, so this is going to have to go completely in, I think, before I do anything. Might as well clean all these little knobs while I can get to them. I mean, is that... I'm not even sure where this cable sits, so where do they just bend up out of the way, these silly things? I'll slide the volumes that way. So they just crash into whatever happens to be there. I guess it's a little odd. Or are they meant to bend? Well, obviously it bends up at the end here. How can we get this in? Oh, did that have a screw in that? Yeah, it had 2 screws in it, but look at it. I don't even remember that. I'm guessing it's these 2 because they're plastic type screws. As in ones that screw into plastic. Okay, we've got 2 little plastic bits sticking up here, which don't want to behave themselves. And where do they go the other end? Just up past that knob, maybe? I know it was making weird noises. Oh, you just can't get them to stay where you want them. And I'm still at the issue of this great big ribbon cable here that I don't know where it actually kind of goes. Ah, really? Oh, we're missing another board, aren't we? Oh, you son of a... I don't know why that doesn't want to go back, but... yeah, they're awful things. It's sort of working though. Should be able to shut these doors now. But I just realised, of course, we've got this silly board as well, which again needs a clean. Ah, there's where probably where that knob came from. We've got a little slider there. At least I know where that probably goes. Though I don't know which way it faced, but anyway, we'll work that out in a second. They are filthy to the point of going to need some polish, I think, because it's not coming off. Can I scrape it off? Not very well. I think that's damaged the chrome a bit. Some funny little LEDs with like 1mm little extensions on them. Now that is what? Oh, there's another LED board here too. I think that one just clips in for the radio. Ah, okay, that's... oh, so that knob goes on the outside anyway by the look of it. Oh, that must point up to the... which mode you're in. Okay, so that's cool. So I think that probably fell off when I took that board out and I didn't realise. That's why I found it just sitting on the bench, so that's no big deal. But again, look at this. Where does this thing go? Under, over... man. Under the head wires, over the board. They really cram some stuff in this thing. Can I get it to fit under there? Where does it actually go? Over here somewhere. So I'm guessing it's coming off this board and it goes under the board. So that must be how it goes. It must just go down into there and fits on the back of the decks. I remember this was fun to get out, and it's going to be fun to get in by the look of it. Yeah, they've got bits to clamp the board that you've got to try and get the knobs through, and the knobs are wider than the bits that clamp the board. So that's a real fiddly little idea there. How do I get them in there? I'm going to have to put it in. Oh, I don't like using the switches, pushing them sideways, but I don't think I've got much choice. That one's bending. Another not so good idea. I must say, Toshiba did make some nice TVs and videos, but I'm not sure about their boom boxes. Probably why they didn't put out a lot of audio gear. That's still not sitting. The board seems to have a bend in it. Why aren't you in it? Oh, is that button going in? I don't know what holds this end on. Whoop, something happened. Oh, this was that. It's got that bit of tape there. What did I find under that tape? I can't even remember now, but there must be a clip here somewhere. Oh no, I know. This is that. I found where that mongrel little black thing went. That was the black bit that was in the way. Ah, here we go. I remember. So after all that, I've got to take this deck out. That was where it was. That actually clamps this board in, I think. That little black plastic bit. I knew there was a metal bracket somewhere. Nice if I could actually remember now that one of my knobs has come off. Definitely don't want your knob to come off. That's it. Can I take that piece off? Just get out of the way. Oop. So I'll lift that up, put this little rubbery black bit on there. Oh, and it just falls straight off again. Brilliant design. Why they have to put little things like that in everything? Every unit seems to have something like that somewhere. As boring as the newer stuff is, at least they didn't have stuff like that. Normally, to keep manufacturing costs down, there was never any little loose pieces or anything. They eliminated pretty much all that stuff, which was one good thing about them. That is the worst idea ever. This board just... I fancy having buttons that are wider than the little mounting pieces. That's a new one on me. I'm just getting stabbed by cut off component leads here trying to get this little mongrel back in there. Ah, that is the worst idea I think I've seen in a while. That's going to be the fiddliest little thing. Finally it's starting to go in. Come on. There's one more clip there that doesn't want to let it in. Or are the, oh yeah, the LEDs have gone through the holes, they must have. That was it, so you've got to get that board in, and the wires from that board are in the way of the mech, and now I can't get the mech close to going back here. What is stopping that? Ah, what an awful unit. Maybe you meant to unplug that or something. Now do I... So now I've got the problem of I've got a pair of wires coming out of the deck. Do they go on top? Do they go underneath? No idea. Oh, and that little black bit's falling off again. Okay. I can't even get the deck close to going in. What? It's because this stupid wiring harness is in the way now. Now we're getting there. Oh, honestly, that is an awful idea. And of course my little black bit fell off. So now I've got to try and get that in just before we get the deck in place so it doesn't fall off. And hopefully when the screw's in, that'll clamp that in there forever. Never to be touched by another human being. Because that is awful. Okay. This is going to be probably the worst boombox I've worked on in a while. Just too much stuff jammed into it. And the problem is, I think those wires are meant to go under this brown wiring harness that goes to that board I just put back in. but you don't really know. Yeah, that wiring harness is just, it's not going to touch the capstans or anything, is it? Just a pain, that one. So yeah, you got so much junk under this board, I'm going to have trouble getting the board in. And of course that's messed up the head wires. Yeah, no, this is a real mess, this unit. A lot to be said for putting everything on one circuit board, that's for sure. With no wiring harnesses. So that's in. That's in. Oh, well, at least I know where that part went. That makes me a bit happier, knowing that it's back where it belongs. And there's this other wire here, God knows where that went. I think that went to the power board or something, did it? Doesn't look like it does. I know there was an antenna wire from there. Oh, that would be it, ground there. No idea, so it probably did go under that other cable. It's probably in the right spot. That's right, that's the mech ground that was getting in the way before. Oh, did I get that? Did I get that in the right spot? Yes, thankfully I think I did. Because the wires were trying to get between the case and the screws in the bottom here. I might as well screw the mechs back in. I wonder if this thing all works. You wouldn't want to have to pull this apart each time trying to diagnose some fault with the mech or something, because if this doesn't run, I'm not going to pull it apart again, I don't think. Be alright if it, like I say, it was in mint condition or whatever, but it's definitely not. I thought that was wrapped around itself or something, maybe. Don't know, don't care. We'll worry about that later, if at all. Now, can we get this board in? Ah, so you get busy getting that bit in, you forget to get this bit in. And then the motor gets in the way. Now you're pressing on caps and stuff. Yeah, this one's definitely not a fun one. Twist those around again. Now I've completely messed all these connectors up again. And that's the problem with these silly connectors, they're just cheap and nasty basically. It's just a way of saving, and admittedly this thing's probably never been pulled apart before. Most of them probably went to the tip with them out of them ever being pulled apart, but it is a way of saving a bit of money. They're great in the factory, you just push it in, no need to have a plug on the end of that wiring harness, you just have a machine to strip it. But of course when you have to fiddle with these things, they tend to waste a bit of your time. That's good. We've got this wire here which I'm sort of guessing goes something like that. And now I've got to straighten all these out. And the scary thing is some of these wires are starting to get a bit iffy. You can see them starting to fray. So with all this messing around, there's a chance you will have broken them off. If you do too much work on them, that's the sort of thing, just there's only so many movements you can do with these boards before all the wires start fracturing off, and that's again with these cheapo sort of soldered in wires rather than a proper connector. But I mean, they're not only built to be a little portable stereo thing. Did they go like that or something? That one's been jammed in something at some stage, so I reckon they went something like that. They are getting very close to fracturing. I can even see some of the little strands are starting to break. Why has this got a weird twist like this in it? I wonder if that went, maybe it went like that. Wow, they really did jam these things together by the look of it. That must have been jammed in. Oh yeah, because we've got these pots, haven't we? So I can't have them there, so they must have gone something like that. Yeah, that would be the kind of thing. So that the trim pots stick out the back. That's those brown wires. Well, we're getting there. Quite an epic job to get this back together. Now, oh, there's a LED board there I've still got to get in, and I've still got this issue of this doesn't want to press in. We've got a switch there, and a switch there, there's the pot knob starting to come up. Still doesn't feel the best. And that red switch isn't going into place. Oh, because it's jumped out of the little slot it's meant to go in. That'd be right. Finally, we're getting there. That is one fiddly board, and as soon as you let go of it, it tries to jump out again. Which it shouldn't do, because I don't know what's trying to push it back out. I think it's got there now. It's probably, yeah, all these silly cables and stuff, that's what'll be doing it. They're trying to drag it back up, I think. Oh, this one in particular, of course, that's pressing on that deck. And the worst thing is, I probably won't be able to get this little board back in now because I haven't left enough room. And where does its wire go? There's two LEDs. Where does it go? Oh, it goes back onto this board. So it doesn't. Why has it got so much length on this side? I'm going to have to try and drag it back under, I think. Yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah, I can get a screwdriver in there and hopefully... Oh, this board's rising up again. Oh, no. Ah, how many meters of cable did they put in there? The one place you don't want a long cable, they've given us one. Yeah, it's got way too much excess cable on it. And of course I'm touching the dial cord to do this, so I've got to be careful that doesn't come off because that would be just the icing on the cake. Here we go, I think, you know. If I can just get it to click home. I'm going to have to press it with something. Oh, that's in, I think. Now, it doesn't feel right. Yeah, it must be right, I think. I think the LEDs are where they should. It's probably just that cable pushing back a bit. Now I've got to try and get this board back. Oh, thankfully I think it just slid back in. Sort of get that knob through. Jeez, they're not the best little switches. They barely stick through. Though, to be fair, I'm not fully in yet. Headphone sockets can always be a bit tricky. So now the other end's come out. There's no way of clipping this board in until the back goes on it, I think, so that's a bit silly. Okay, well, we're kind of back together now. Kind of. I can put the volume knobs on. Oh, I've probably got to clean them really, don't I? But oh, they come off easy, so... Yeah, there's making that funny noise again. Sounds terrible. Again, another bad feature, two separate volume controls, never a good idea. I mean, the idea is, again, to be cheaper and try and save on the cost of a separate balance, but why they ever bothered putting balance on things, I'll never know. I can't remember ever needing it. I mean, normally you don't play tapes that are that bad, you need to adjust the balance or something because the tape isn't running properly on both channels or something. But they were obviously designed for something like that. Maybe if you made a bad recording or something with a mic or something. But I can't say I've ever needed to use a balance control in my life other than for the odd music track that has weird effects with different channels on it just for some novelty reason. And if balance controls didn't exist, I guess they wouldn't have made them either. Now, have I done something to that, or does that sit like that? No, I think it's moved. Okay, I think I'm kind of back together. And we find out all the things that don't work. Where does the power go? I saw that up there. There it is. And the antenna. Guess I better find out where it at least goes. It'll be over one of these pins here, I guess. That one's labelled FM antenna. Now if they gave us the length they gave us in that other one, on this one, it would have been good. I might even slide this thing roughly back together so things don't, if I can get it back together. I don't think it's of course it's not going to go back together because now these sockets won't line up or something. That's what's done that. I think that's moved on a weird angle. It's like almost broken. There had to be something. Now, do these boards need to slot in a certain way? Probably just above a little ridge. Now we got it. Or have we? No, the board's on the wrong side or whatever it is. Or something. God almighty, these really are an annoying unit. Oh God, it's 8 o'clock. This is one time waster, this one. Oh, there was actually room to put thicker pots in there, but those other ones still weren't going to fit. You know, here's something rattling around in there now, I think. Okay, let's apply power and see if this thing wants to work. Oh, there's something running. Probably shouldn't, but... Oh, it's stopped whatever it was. That might be a good sign. Oh, no speakers, so we're not going to get much. That's really annoying that thing makes so much noise. I may have to pull that to bits again and check where those plastic things rub. Now, let's put this little knob back on. Yeah, that's definitely what that was. That sets the play mode, auto reverse, etc. Stereo 2 and 3, not sure what that's about. Still absolutely filthy. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get that door clean either of them because they got these stick-on bits. Sometimes you've got to rip this plastic off and glue it back on again just to get the dust out from behind it. Let's set the graphic equalizer to flat. Might as well put the speakers back on it if I can find them. Turn it off first, just so I don't risk shorting anything out. Someone hasn't given me much wire yet, but at least they got it tied up behind you properly. I'll find out how many faults we've still got in it. But given this thing's pretty grotty and horrible, I'm not sure I'm going to go back in and try and fix it unless it's something simple, because I don't ever want to pull that to bits again. Yeah, we've got some hum. That's not a good idea on FM radio, is it? Uh-oh. Oh, we're on phono input. What I should have done is clean that switch while I had it apart. I now find out. And that switch. Oh, that's not volume. What am I doing? Oh, and the volume. Didn't I clean the volume controls? I mustn't have done anything in this one. Don't. Okay, that channel seems to be a bit lower than the other, so that may just be the volume controls. More important, what are these tape decks doing, if anything? Don't tell me the head's not sitting right in that one. Ironically, the one I didn't touch the head in seems to be sitting wrong. But we've got take up, we changed direction, we've got take up, everything looks actually good in that. Fast forward. Bit noisy, but has that head gone back to normal? The head on one direction, I swear, is not. You gotta be joking, I think it's sitting straight. Let's hit the end. That doesn't mean it's right. Go the other way and it's fine. Don't think I've ever had one that faced the wrong way on one way and not the other. That's almost impossible on one of these, I think. Yep, we're up and going. Change direction. I'm not 100% sure that head's the right way. It must be, yeah. No, wait, yeah, because that one's the same. Yeah, no, it's all good. Not a good time to wonder about that. So everything seems to function. That's a relief, even though it's a bit noisy and stuff, which is probably not surprising. And that is the sort of hassle you get with these, is you put them all back together and realise maybe the reel should have been lubricated or something. I guess that's something I probably should have done in there. Well, miracle of miracles, it looks like I at least mechanically managed to fix it. Ooh, why is that not going in? Oh, that's something I noticed. Why was that pinch roller up? Well, maybe I didn't fix this one. We got one pinch roller, so ironically the deck I didn't pull into a million pieces may be dodgy. Hang on, did I take off that button before? I think I did before. No, that one doesn't seem to drop properly. Ah, you're kidding me. The head's down, I think, but one of the pinch rollers doesn't drop. Don't tell me that's got some issue with that slide arm or something as well. I wonder if I can push it down and get the tape to at least go in. No, I don't think I can. Where's the head? It's still up. I think that. That pinch roller's down fine. Where does the head sit? You know, the head's up high as well. Ah, so the record deck's still got issues. But the pinch roller drops fine when I change direction. Head's definitely not sitting right. So that deck, even though it seemed to, well, at least I knew the gear lifted it up and down and seemed to do what it should, and still does. What happened if I change? You know, each pinch roller on either side stays up too high, and looks like the heads are staying up too high, even though everything seemed to be right on that deck. I just put the belt in it. Oh well, at least I can be glad that the one I actually pulled to 1,000 bits works. I think I might have to call it quits on this one though. So there's two volumes. Oh, they're on that board. I should have cleaned them while I had it apart, shouldn't I? You idiot. And where's the switches? Oh, there's a big long switch. Might be at least able to get this board out enough to do them. There's something floating around in here. Yeah, a bit of broken plastic. Oh, at least I can get to some of this stuff if I can find my contact cleaner. And I think I can get that equalizer board out by moving this board, so it's not the end of the world that way. Of course, I spent so much time on the tape deck I didn't even think about all the electronics, and that was yesterday. And of course, when you get back onto it today, you're not even thinking about all that stuff. Oh, you can see it better on the camera than what I can see it. That's done that one, and there must be another one here. I can see all the pins under there. But you squirt the stuff in one end of the switch, there's a little hole on top, and you can actually see it coming out the other end. So you know you've got contact cleaner right through there. Okay, so we've got those done, and now if I take these screws out, if I take them out, if I can get to them, we should be able to do the equalizer board, which is mainly that volume control, and I've still got that issue. I mean, these plastic bits that stick out basically on the other end just crash. One of them crashes into that knob, and is that the microphone or something there? So that's why it's making all that funny noise, I think, because it's... Imagine if you did the volume control, well, you shouldn't have to do the volume control while you're recording, I guess, but... You did. What the hell? Oh, the volume knobs. Should have known. That's what's holding that in. I wonder what was holding it in. Yeah, this silly bendy bit of plastic there. Where's the bit gone? Yeah, it's the microphone and the pot for the microphone level. That's a bit of a crazy design. I'm almost tempted to cut them off, but you can't really. I mean, you probably could cut some of them off. But I guess they're meant to fold up out of the way. Yeah, not a great design. Anyway, let's give these plenty of stuff on these pots. Slider pots are never a good idea in most of these things. So there's something else I missed. I think that was it. Function switches. Might as well do all these equalizer pots. Give them all a go. Yeah, now that's the problem is this board goes in first. I wonder if you meant to pull these things back up somehow. There must be a knack to it. But then they were like that when I got it, so if you'd assume if they were out it was because someone else had been in here, but I don't know if anyone else has been in here. And now of course there's not enough cable length to get this board back in. You've got to slide it down there, that's it. This certainly hasn't been much fun. I enjoyed getting that National RX one going. That was a great machine to work on and sounded brilliant when it was repaired, but this thing is kind of the opposite. And I'm not sure it's ever going to sound real brilliant regardless. It doesn't strike me as a high quality unit in many ways, even though it's quite featured in the auto reverse decks. Now, what is trying to prevent me go back together here? Now those two little plastic bits, if I flick them up and over, almost need to tape them in place I think, but then you've got these other end ones. No wonder they make so much noise. They just... surely they don't sit like that. Ah, of course we've got no knobs. Really need to test them before I install the main board, I think. That's not too bad noise-wise. That one's fine too. So maybe you do have to get them in a particular place. I mean, it would make sense. I don't know why they made them quite so long. Oh, there's a little pin there. I wonder if that pin's what they're meant to go against. There's like a pin like you connect free run. I wonder if that is something to do with the free running of these. Don't know. But that's what that pin's labelled as, so it wasn't used for any plugs, but it's basically a square mounting post thing sticking off the board, or square connection type thing like the FM antenna uses. Oh, now that damn switch is in the wrong spot. Come on, you silly stereo mono switch. Oh, God almighty, this thing is just awful thing to work on. Go away, ball. And it's no wonder it keeps popping out of this track here when every single thing seems to be against it. It just does not want to go in this circuit board. And it's got so many things on it. Now let's... well, that's better, so that must be what you do. They're a little noisy, but nothing like they were before, crunching sort of noises and stuff, so you've got to get those two little black tabs. You've got two of them coming up the end here where they just got to go, and there's two of them going to this, probably a bit out of focus this close, but there's a metal pin coming up off the board, much like where the antenna socket plugs in, and that ground pin for the tape deck. And I think if you just fold them round, I take, don't come out board. That's why they're quite long. They just get to the point where they nearly slip off that little pin. And one of them disappeared on the other end. Where'd the other one go? That one's folded up somewhere. Huh, weird. Or is it coming up the other side there? Oh, it's coming up. That might be another issue. It's coming up the other side of the... Okay, so I might have to try and get that back on the right side of the board. So there's just all these sort of fiddly, that's it. And of course it catches on everything. Go up there. What a rotten little design that is. Another reason not to use slider pots. I can't think of a single reason why anyone would use a slider pot, especially in the more modern world, but maybe it's an aesthetic thing or something. And of course they're the only ones you can really make cheapskate out on putting a balance control in, because you put two sliders. I mean, you can kind of use them, but they never line up properly if you do them with one finger or whatever. Just really got to do them two-handed. Silly design, although we're making a bit of noise again, is it? Oh, of course, the other end slipped out now. Unbelievable. So they've gone behind that pin now instead of in front of it. Every time you touch this thing, more trouble. And which deck is the bad one? This one under here, I think. Yeah, I can see that's definitely the one I fixed, because it's got all the nice fresh grease on it. And I know it was the one without the record head, so this other one, something's iffy in it. I think at least for now I might draw the line on this thing. If I can get it back together, clean it up. And yeah, I've still got the problem whether I need to peel those door labels off. Nothing really wants to fit together properly. But I think if I can find all the 4 screws, I'll put these corners back on if I can. Give it a clean up, and I think I'll call it quits on this one for now. I spent way more time on it than I really wanted to. But it shows you can refurbish even pretty rough old tape decks. But obviously that other one, I assumed it was going to work alright. But never make assumptions, I guess. It looked like the gear was going around, but I probably didn't check the other side thoroughly, or maybe something's got out since I put it back in. God, it still managed not to go in the right spot. We've got one good deck. I'll see if this actually does clean up after this. No, I hope it does after all that, because it's still looking pretty awful at the moment. Absolutely filthy. It's got a bit of damage to it, unfortunately. I think most of the chrome parts are a little rough. I mean, nice if that stuff comes off the door. I hope that's going to come off. I guess the ideal way is to clean them up first. And if they clean up nice, then you waste your time trying to fix them, but I tend to like to see if they're actually repairable first before I bother cleaning them. So it's a bit hard to know what's the best method. Nothing less than cleaning something that's junk. That button doesn't seem to sit quite as high as the other one. Oh, probably that one was coming off a bit. I just realised the radio dial's actually starting to peel off a bit here, so that wants gluing back on. Not that it probably matters whether you do it, I don't think you can do anything about it from the inside. But that's definitely starting to come off. And then it's got some weird, what is this stuff on here? I assumed it was a bit of tape or something, or old price tag or something that would come off, but maybe not. It does have this other stuff on it that looks like someone's been sitting chemicals on it or something. So maybe some of that got on there and ruined it. And we've got some blue tack or something on there. But yeah, this has been a bit of a major repair job for not a lot of results. It'd be a real shame if it doesn't even clean up reasonable, but it's certainly not going to be mint this one, never was. Yeah, the main hassle is going to be getting this muck off. Now, it may be possible to polish it off. I'm going to risk a bit of methylated spirit or something and see what that does. It may... Well, it shouldn't worry this because there's no... Oh, there is some paint on it, I guess. You've got to be super careful with these cabinets though, because that is painted and metho will start taking the paint off if you're not careful. Same with TV cabinets and stuff. And you start getting issues with the colour not all being consistent anymore. Now sometimes you can put more metho on and sort of polish everything up to look more the same, but like this bit here, this is a part that's going to be potentially iffy because it's got grey, basically this sort of metallic paint finish on it, and you can already see it's, I think, changing the colour a little bit. It'll often make it go a bit lighter. You can probably see the silvery stuff coming off onto this, but I don't have much choice. It is some sort of sticky tape or something's been on here, I think. At least I can polish it off this stuff, no problem. I'm glad that's coming off though, because that was going to look terrible if that had actually been a bit of, what do you call that stuff that eats away at plastic? Where's the chemical people use? And that can really make a mess of plastic surfaces. But this actually has pretty resilient paint on it, thankfully, so at least I got something right on it. Looks like they gave it a good coat of decent paint. There's still a little bit in the corner there. Whatever it is does not want to fully come off. I don't know if it is glue or if it's something else. But that has improved it massively. And yeah, trying to get this, you've got to be super careful with a bit of metho. Sometimes it'll just take the stuff off, no problems, but often, like I say, it's eating your paint off as well. I'm probably just going to have to take the risk on this one a bit. And I guess if you go over the whole lot, well, maybe it'll all look the same anyway. Yes, it's got all sorts of muck on it. But to be fair, this is actually really good paint on this, but look at it. No major issues yet, and I've got most of the muck off it. But here's going to be a different issue. But it's not coming up absolutely terrible. It's a lot better than it was. Got a lot of scratches on the front though, it's pretty rough. At least we can adjust the azimuth of the heads from the outside. There's still muck on there. That actual scratches. That's absolutely scratched too. bad place there. I don't think I've tried polishing this type of soft plastic. Not sure I should. But I guess the day's got to come when you do try it on something like that. Well, I think whatever these round marks are permanent. And yeah, I noticed this paint, or not paint, metal deposition stuff, chrome, is starting to bubble and peel off. So we're not going to get that perfect. Mainly on the inside of this little tweeter bit here. It's got a rough kind of appearance. So you can guarantee these speakers were screwed to a wall somewhere or something with brackets. Is why that's got a couple of holes in it. Pretty sure this has been a workshop radio somewhere. Like I said, that's about the only ones that sort of survived that haven't already been snavelled up by collectors and stuff. Ones that are still doing good duty out there somewhere as a radio or something. Yes, I might try giving that a quick polish and see what happens. But it's almost starting to look half decent. Just got to get the dirt out of those doors. If I can fix that, it actually might look half decent. But let's take a risk here and hope to hell, although I can't put it on the painted bits, I guess, because they're going to wear off probably. Where the red paint is on this door and the blue on the other one. Better wipe this off and see what it's doing. And the problem is I'm getting polish everywhere. That's the damaged bit right there. That's how the rest of the polish gets down in these little gaps here, so you've got to try and get that back out. And that's not going to be easy. Yeah, it's coming out, I think. Well, it hasn't damaged it, so that's something, or maybe it's put a few fine scratches on there. I think it's alright. Okay, so I got this thing cleaned up. I actually ended up using that polish on it to give it a good cut and polish on the top. And we've still got these round marks, unfortunately, but it got it up a lot better than it was. So this must have a pretty good thickness of paint on this, or maybe it's got lacquer over the top because it's pretty shiny, but I managed to cut into it without damaging anything. Cleaned up the front. These are pretty bad around the speakers still, the tweeted part. And yeah, there's quite a few scratches and stuff. I did manage to get them off a little bit off these plastic bits, I think, but far from perfect. But from a distance, shouldn't look too bad, so I think that's about as far as I'll go with this thing for now. We'll leave that other deck not running, but at least we've got the other one fully serviced and fixed from its corrosion. Again, I'm unlikely to ever use any of these things, just more a display piece, so I think that one will actually look half decent. I'll go and sit it on top of the RX Series National and see how it compares to that. But it not too bad a looking box. Would have been nice if it was in much better condition, but that'll do for now, so thanks for watching.